first time in 25 years, Hamilton County voters are going to be choosing a new sheriff this fall because Republican incumbent Simon Lease is retiring. Whoever is elected is going to oversee a department of more than 800 employees and a budget of more than $57 million. There are two candidates who want the job, Republican Sean Donovan and Democrat Jim Neal. Donovan ran a construction company for 6 years before joining the sheriff's office in 1981 as a corrections officer. He rose through the ranks to the position of chief deputy, a job he's held since 1997, overseeing the day-to-day operations of the sheriff's office.
We all know that the Justice Center is overcrowded right now and that there's a catch and release program in place to help manage that numbers problem that they're having with the inmates. How do you maintain public safety while you're allowing these criminals back out on the street?
Kelly, the Justice Center has been overcrowded since it was built. It was never built to handle the number of inmates we had in 1985 when it was opened. We've been able to, through several court processes, double selling, and the federal cap that's been placed on us by the federal court, been able to manage that population. We have tried twice to, through different plans, one, the Emley plan, which was a box with no money to operate it, just a building with no money to operate it, and then secondly with a comprehensive safety plan. Both plans went to the voters at different times and were defeated by about the same number. So we have been under the constraints of dealing with an inadequate jail space for a long time. We use many different methods to manage it. We used home incarceration, we used diversionary programs, we used drug and alcohol treatment programs. We have two separate drug and alcohol treatment programs that are staffed by Talbert House, manned by us, all in an attempt to keep violent criminals off the streets. Unfortunately, about 98% of the Hamilton County Justice Center jail population now are pre-sentence felons. Those are individuals that are charged with violent felonies and are awaiting sentencing to the penitentiary, which leaves us pretty much without a misdemeanor facility to operate. That's why we use it, as you said, the catch and release things, which is what we call station house release, or we have a deferred commitment program where we give an individual a date to come back in the future, but the odds of having room for that individual in the future are very slim. We will continue to use every method we can. I seek cooperation from the judges, and I make the commissioners aware that we don't have the adequate facility, and it's ultimately the commissioner's responsibility to provide us with the facilities to house the number of inmates that are sent through the courts. The only way an individual can do time in the Justice Center or be sentenced to the Justice Center is through the judges. So I'm right now in discussion with the judges to prioritize those individuals that they want to house in the Justice Center, and also talking to the commissioners about alternatives to the jail population. Our jail population isn't as simple as one may think. We have a heroin problem in Hamilton County that we're dealing with, which now we have a lot of individuals in there that are drug addicted, a lot of females that are drug addicted, those that have medical problems we're dealing with. So the population is not as simple as just housing individuals. So going forward, we'd like to look at how to house the mentals, the drug addicted individuals, and do it most cost effectively. But bear in mind, as you stated, public safety is my #1 priority, and keeping your neighborhood safe is as sheriff my #1 priority.
I'm concerned about transparency. What assurances do we have that your staff will be held to the same standards as the general public?
Tom, our staff, Simon Lease has been sheriff for the last 25 years. I've been in that office for over 31, hired under Lincoln Stokes, and Lease came in '87, but brought to that agency professionalism and high standards, fitness standards, and many different policy standards, uniform standards. And with that is, I feel, our agency is extremely transparent. My office phone and my cell phone are on continually. I've never not returned a call or never not answered an individual's question or dealt with a request for information out of anywhere in our agency. I pride myself in our office in being the first ones to, if we do have an issue or a problem, addressing that problem and dealing with it as rapidly and as professionally as we can. And I think over the last my 15 years as chief deputy, I can't recall any issue where publicly we were not open to the public or open to the citizens that we deal with. You know, I have a jail with 1,500 individuals in it that have family concerns. People want to know about their individual that's housed and how he's treated and where he's going, and medical issues and all those things that go with incarceration and what effects it has on families and people. And we've always been open, and I will continue to be open for total transparency.
The many local police departments in Hamilton County have worked together to provide public safety. We've done this through organizations such as the Hamilton County Association of Chiefs of Police. How will the Sheriff's Department, under your leadership, assist local departments and our organization in enhancing public safety?
Colonel, I look forward to attending those chiefs meetings. I think I'm out there in October. Colonel Hoffbauer attends those meetings now for the office and has been since I've been chief deputy. I'm looking forward to attending those meetings myself, being part of that organization. I think that's a key to moving forward. There are 48 different law enforcement agencies in Hamilton County, and cooperation is essential to us being able to provide public safety and keeping neighborhoods safe. We cooperate with, as you know, with all law enforcement agencies now, but I want to see that move to another level going forward. That's one of the things I have on my list of things I'd like to do, or things I'd like to accomplish as sheriff, is to be an active participant in the Chiefs Association.
We all know there's a problem with drugs in Hamilton County. How willing are you to aggressively pursue traffickers, dealers, and users for the safety of our children and our neighborhoods?
Heather, there's a problem with drugs in our county. There's a problem in your area more than anywhere else, I believe. We actively, through our Renew unit, we have an SIU unit that operates out of COLERAIN Township, and that's all they do is drug work. Last week, I'm trying to think, last week or the week before, we had a large heroin bust that was targeted for Cincinnati. There were a couple homicides involved with it, but we have heroin as a come into play here more recently, and I believe it's because it's cheap and it's available, and it's coming into our city, and it's going into to all areas, not only in Price Hill, but it's in the suburban areas as well as in Price Hill. We are actively, and have been, our Renew unit's been extremely successful in drug law enforcement. That's their focus, that's all they do. And we have a secondary unit that operates in cooperation with COLERAIN Township that does undercover drug work and is extremely effective. Drugs, to me, are one of the key factors that create violence and unsafety in the neighborhood. And we work on it continually, and I will continue to do that.
Green Township, as well as other townships, depend on the sheriff's road patrols to keep the public safe. In lieu of the tight budgets, what do you propose to do to continue on with this program?
Larry, that's a project that I've been working on for quite some time. You may recall that the commissioners were pulling back funding for the patrols in Green Township and Anderson Township, and wanting the townships to pay full price for those patrols. We have been able to negotiate with each township, I'm glad to say, and that issue's off the table. We have contracts in place with all the townships that we patrol in, that over a 3-year period, those patrols that are in your township and in Anderson and COLERAIN will be paid for in full. The trustees are pleased with the plan. The commissioners are pleased with the plan, and our men are out on patrol. So that issue, for now, has been settled. We are moving forward. We were looking at the cutting of patrols because the commissioners cut that line item from our budget. We were able to negotiate through that and maintain public safety in the townships and maintain safety in Greene Township. We work in conjunction with the Greene Township Police Department, and through that contract, specifically for Greene, we have taken the detectives, the investigators that are employees of Greene, and combined them in our headquarters, which gives them a broader base to work from, the more effective in solving crimes that are done in Greene Township. Criminals don't stay in just one area. They move throughout the county and throughout the tri-state. So that's given a Greene Township added horsepower, a manpower to be able to investigate criminal activity. So for now, and for the next 3 years and going forward, the township patrol issue has been settled and we are moving forward.
If you're elected sheriff, describe how your management style would differ from the way the sheriff's office has been run in the past.
Claudia, my management style, you know, Simon Lease has had a tremendous background in law enforcement. He was a prosecutor of Hamilton County, he was a judge, and he was sheriff for 25 years. His background brought a lot to that agency. Mine is somewhat different. My personality is somewhat different, and I wish to, and as sheriff, will bring my personality to that agency. The sheriff has brought us professionalism, he brought us high standards, and things that I never want to go away, things that I believe make that office what you expect it to be when you see a sheriff's deputy or if an individual responds to an incident, whether it be a vehicle accident or a break-in. I want all that to be the same, but my personality is somewhat different, and I want to bring that to the agency. My number one issue is making your neighborhood safe, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And I think you're going to see that from the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
I'm a former 7th and 8th grade teacher. I know parents have always been concerned about cyber crimes, sexting. I'm wondering what you can do to step up enforcement without trampling on people's civil liberties.
John, that's a great question. We have in the Sheriff's Office, and it's a very, very poignant question now with everything we have in computers. About 15, 16 years ago, I was sent to a training program in Glencoe, Georgia. Myself and another individual from the administration of the Sheriff's Office went. And from that trip, we came back and talked to the sheriff, and the regional computer crimes unit was started, RECE, which exists today. It was the model for computer crime investigation that's in Hamilton County, and it's been patterned after numerous agencies throughout the United States have patterned theirs after our RECE unit. It's extremely effective. It's made up of officers from the Cincinnati Police Department and the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Their training and focus is all cyber crime, computer crime. They are extremely busy with forensic analysis of hard drives. Originally it started with cell phones, when cell phones were analog and there was a lot of theft and misuse of cell phones. That's passed with digitized cell phones. But the computer crime has gone on to greater levels, and we are up to speed. We have individuals that are involved in sexual predators on the internet. We get tips from groups of cybercrime groups throughout the United States when they encounter somebody that's in our area, whether it be with child pornography or some scam, money scam from elderly. But the RECE unit is extremely effective. I'm very proud to say that I was one of the co-founders of it and originators of it, and it's up and running and very effective in Hamilton County.
If you're elected Hamilton County Sheriff, how would you train your deputies to treat victims of crimes and their families when they come in contact with them?
Peggy, we have sensitivity training that's continual, and anytime there's a victim in a crime, there's victim advocates that they're trained to refer those people to. It's a traumatic event when somebody's a victim of a crime, whether it be a violent crime or even a break-in. They also do it for the elderly, for those that have Alzheimer's and afflictions similar to that. Safety in your neighborhood as sheriff is my #1 priority, and I assure you that our sensitivity training and our officers' knowledge on how to refer you and how to get you in the right arena for help as a victim of a crime is a top priority with us.
Labor costs are typically the largest expense of any public employee organization. In 2011, Ohio voters rejected Senate Bill 5, which was legislation designed to help control labor costs in public employee organizations. How will you as sheriff control your costs now that we do have these mandated employment contracts to live with, while at the same time keeping up with the statutory duties of the sheriff's office?
That's a good question, Dan. Labor costs are the largest expense. You know, people talk about building a jail or building a facility. You know, the county could probably do that through bond issues or generation of funds that way. But the ongoing operational costs are what prohibit us from building that facility. Everybody buys things for about the same. We buy gasoline for the same as everybody else, and pencils and paper and all those things. But labor cost is our largest expense. It's probably 80% of our budget. And it's going to, through labor contracts, it's going to go up. Senate Bill 5 was an attempt to rectify that. It was soundly defeated at the polls. You know, we certainly are aware of what that situation is, and we're moving on. But our labor costs, our employees are represented by unions, and all those unions we negotiate and contract with them. I will negotiate as aggressively as I can to get the best deal we can for the agency and for the taxpayers. But going forward, that's our largest cost, our operational cost and our labor cost.
What is the #1 most pressing issue facing the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and what will be your first step to address this issue?
Susan, the #1 issue with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is the same as the #1 issue with most governmental agencies today, and that's the budget. There's a dwindling tax base. My focus will be, and it has been for the last several years, is to communicate to the commissioners. Our funding comes from one source. It's through tax money, through the general fund. Comes from one source, and the commissioners control that source, and I continually make the commissioners aware of what our needs are. They are statutorily obligated to fund the sheriff's office, to fund the sheriff, to give us the ability to do our job, to provide the public with safety and to keep your neighborhood safe. So what I do now, and what I will continue to do as sheriff, is communicate to those commissioners what our needs are to maintain public safety. That's the most important issue to all of us. For the first time in 25 years, the Sheriff's Office is a contested race. It's an extremely important office. It touches every family in Hamilton County. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is under the leadership of Simon Lease, has become a highly professional, well-trained, well-respected law enforcement agency. I would like for that to continue. If I did not have the background and the training and the expertise that I have as Chief Deputy Sheriff of the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office for the last 15 years, I wouldn't think about running for this job. I have the background, I have the experience, and I have the training to be able to move this agency forward. We in Hamilton County have come to expect a highly trained, efficient, professional law enforcement. And I promise to the people of Hamilton County, when elected sheriff, to continue that and improve on it throughout my tenure.
If you live in Ohio, early voting begins on October 2nd, but you have to be registered. The deadline for that is October 9th. Contact your Board of Elections for more information. Tom McKee, 9 News, downtown.